Okay. How? How? I hate this map. Okay, fine. Hello, my friends. Welcome to Spicy Smin, and today I'm going to be playing some Roblox, just because, you know, why not? I'm going to be playing some Roblox, probably badly as well, because I'm not that great at this game. Oh, shit. Where the fuck are you? And I died. And that's the extent of how good I am at this game. And I did a weird flippy thing after I died. What the fuck happened there? And I'm probably just gonna decide to talk a little bit about what just happened in America. Wow. Okay then. Right. So that happened. For anyone who sort of like isn't aware of what happened in America or doesn't pay attention at all, because I think it doesn't actually make any difference to us here in Britain, Trump won. Trump won the election. He is now the president of the great United States of America. Holy crap. I can't particularly decide whether or not I am happy or not, and I think that's the worst bit about this situation, is because it was a shit situation for both of them. Like you guys were fucked. If it was a choice between the two main candidates, Clinton or Trump, there wasn't really an obvious winner out of that one, because, you know, I just like them both equally. They're both pretty shit candidates, and I'm a little disappointed in you, America. That was the best you had. Who should have won? Don't know. Gary Johnson, maybe? I know Bernie Sanders would have been a good option. Let's talk about the fallout. Let's talk about what's going to happen now. The only thing I can possibly compare it to in Britain would be Brexit. Brexit's the closest situation to what's happening now. Okay, there's a sort of a law getting passed or a person getting elected who you're like, well, this is kind of a step backwards. It feels like a step backwards, because like, let's be honest. Okay, Trump is not. Trump has sort of like said a lot of questionable shit. Like, a lot of stuff that got dragged up was stuff that happened when he was sort of like not even running for any presidential election at all. For example, all the stuff that he said or did to women over the years that have pissed the general female population off. Yeah, okay, that's pretty shitty. That's pretty fucking shitty of him. He should probably have never been put forward as a candidate. However, I don't feel like it's necessarily fair to judge. Can I not get up on this? Judge a candidate based on what they do in their personal life. Like, if you're saying something in private to your mates and having a bit of banter with your mates in private, but should he be judged on that, or should he be judged on the stuff that he brought to the table as his argument for being president? I think that's probably a bit more of an appropriate way, and that's why it bothers me about politics. Is like, they basically bring up every single personal thing that someone ever did and find any opportunity to demean them, their character, based on stuff that they do in their private life. Like, I wouldn't want my ability to do my job to be judged on what I decide to do in my private life. It's private. However, you know, if you're going for a job as big as, yeah, I stood no chance there. If you go for a job as big as the president, then yeah, you know, they're gonna find out crap about you to sort of like slay to you. So we put down to exactly what he brought to the table, which wasn't really that much better. So when Brexit happened in this country, the same sort of like had the same sort of fallout, on a smaller scale. Damn it. As to what's happening now in America. And that is all of the violence and the protests and people, you know, kind of fighting for it. And like, the whole argument to go against that is, what is a democracy? You know, you can't be pissed off that the democracy happened, a vote happened, and it didn't go the way you wanted it to go. That's just how it works. So, you know, the argument's been put forward that, like, you know, the vote's been tallied, that's what the country's voted for, that's what the country wanted. 42% of people didn't vote. 42% of people didn't feel like it was their duty to publicly give a crap, basically. Is that person dead? 92 million people didn't vote. 92 million people couldn't be asked to go and vote. That's just the people who were eligible to vote didn't vote. That's not taking into account other people who probably had a good idea about who they would vote for but weren't able to vote because they weren't old enough or whatever. For whatever reason, they weren't able to vote. So 92 million people didn't vote. So add that to the other candidates, okay, who got voted for, like all of the other votes together, around about 157 million people did not vote for Trump. So put that into perspective to like the 63 odd million people who did vote Trump. 157 people, 7 million people didn't vote for him to be there. It's just ridiculous. It's stupid. The argument to it being a democracy kind of fails there when you think about it. And the gunfire begins! Oh, it's so awful and horrific. Okay, King of the Hill. So why those people didn't vote is anyone's guess. Maybe they couldn't make it, maybe they don't care. Maybe they couldn't make a decision and they didn't realise a third party was probably a good option. If you can't make a decision, why not vote for Gary Johnson? If he got 5% of the votes, then he could get funding for the next time and give them, like, you know, the Libertarian Party a real good chance of actually, you know, winning an election. But no, like, they just, you know, those people, for whatever reason, decided just not to vote. And they either didn't want him in power enough to bother to go to vote for him, or they didn't want him in power, and they voted for someone else. But still, like, looking at that and then compare it to the 62 million who did vote for him to be in, well, or 63 million nearly, who voted for him to be in, well, what to think about a country that sort of like claims that this is democracy that happened, you know, we made a vote and majority of the country voted for Trump, then you're just kind of lying to yourself there. Majority of the country didn't vote for Hillary either, obviously, but like, saying that majority of the country voted for Trump is just bollocks. Hillary Clinton wasn't a good second option, and the whole argument that she would have been the first female president, well, I find the idea of someone being elected president because of their gender just sexism again. It's just sexism on the other side. It's still sexism and it shouldn't be allowed. And you don't want people to sort of like look back at the first president and say, oh yeah, well, she only won because she was a woman. You want them to look back at them and think, well, she won because she was good at the job. She was won because she had the, you know, the right stuff. She had her fucking head screwed on, which I'm afraid Hillary Clinton does not have her head screwed on. She's a little bit scary. It's a risky business decision to make. Ah, the Hill, finally. It's a risky business decision to make. I feel kind of gross for just saying it. Kind of like I need to go and take a shower. But Trump might be the better option for us who live in Europe. He is a racist, sexist bastard and was not fit to be president under any circumstances. However, he's patching shit up with Russia. Now they're all pally and friendly, so for someone who doesn't live in America, it's not the worst thing in the world. That's purely from a very selfish viewpoint. Oh my god, no. Come on, I dare you. You're on my team. God, there's so many of my own team members around. Where is the enemy? Where the hell even are they? Oh, what? No! The hill must be mine. No, you will not take me down. You will not take me down. The hill will be mine. Yeah, I got that hill. Right, there's someone down there. It's just, alright, do you know what? I'm coming to get you, you fucker. You keep just shooting down here. see any of the enemy. Am I just being blind? Am I not looking properly? Maybe I'm just... Oh, okay. Yep. I can't see the enemy, but they can definitely see me. The fallout of this presidential election. The hate crime that's happening. You should have your right to protest. I agree with that. But the sad thing about sometimes what happens with protests, and particularly what happened in this country with Brexit, is people end up destroying their own communities. People end up just fighting with each other over something that they cannot change. You're allowed to protest, you're allowed to express your rights, but it's not going to change the situation. And building up hate and dividing the country further is not the way forward. It's not the way to heal. The best way to fight the situation would be to not let it defeat you. You know, decide, make a conscious effort that actually, no, I'm not going to let... Whoa. I love how I did a little fly thing there. I'm not going to let the fact that Trump is now the president of the United States, yes, victory, make me hate the other people in my country. And this goes for both sides. Alright, so let me just compare it to what happened in this country with Brexit. I'll openly admit that I didn't vote for Brexit, but I agree that not everyone who voted for Brexit was racist. Obviously they weren't racist. I think anyone who goes around saying all the people who voted for Brexit are racist clearly didn't understand exactly what it meant for our country, because there were some positives for it. I think that we should have stayed. Damn it. Because look what's kind of happening to our economy and all that now. And that's what's going to affect me personally, but I think some of the reasons why people voted for that and for the same for Trump were just like misguided, you know, sort of reasons for voting. We had a lot of issues in our country shortly following the Brexit vote where people were getting attacked, you know, there was just general racism was more rife in the country, and that's a really sad situation to see, because that's just like communities tearing each other apart over something that really doesn't matter. And that's exactly what seems to be happening in America right now, is countries tearing each other apart over something you can't control, over something that essentially doesn't really matter anymore, because the decision's been made. That's what it appears to us, but obviously the media sort of like changes things and swaps things around, and just sort of like, they'll show you what they want you to see. If you protest so much that they decide that Trump shouldn't be in power, then that means that Pence is getting in power, and he is so much worse than Trump. Trump's a watered down version of Pence, let's put it that way. Like, Pence is concentrated hate, and it's just, no, you do not want him to be your president. I can promise you, you don't want him to be your president. If you don't like Trump, then you will hate Pence. Brexit was about becoming independent from the European Union. We're still in Europe, by the way, guys. Like, to all of those people who think that we've left Europe, we haven't left Europe. We're still part of Europe. We're just not part of the European Union, which is another mistake that I think a lot of people in this country made when they were sort of thinking, oh, we'll vote out of Europe, we're no longer European. Like, no, you are. And I personally consider myself European, not British now. My friend was chased out of a supermarket and told that she had to now leave. She is from Japan, by the way. Like, she wasn't, which has nothing to do with Europe. It was just like, yeah, okay, fine, but that has nothing to do with leaving the EU. Japan is not in Europe. By the way, guys. They clearly didn't understand actually what it meant. They just thought, well, here's an excuse to be racist, because our government now says that it's okay, but it's not. And that's a very similar thing that's happening, and that's the only way I can explain it, when it's sort of like the homophobic attacks. That, like, people who are hateful and angry against a certain group of people, just because they're angry, people will find any excuse to be violent to each other. If Hillary had won, those people who went out and committed those hate crimes would have probably done it anyway, or done something similar, because those type of people are already angry and violent. They probably would have done it, but the difference is they would have been saying that they were doing it because they were protesting, against what happened. Shit! No. Yeah, go on, take them out. As opposed to celebrating. You know, Trump didn't make these people racist. These people aren't racist or violent because of Trump. They were already racist and violent. I'm disappointed in America that they don't have a better option. But at the same time, I don't think it's as bad as it seems. My only words for people now would be, don't tear your own communities apart. The decision's been made. Try not to destroy the country while you're being upset about it. You have a right to protest, you have a right to be upset about this, but try and keep a level head, because your protests won't change it, and it could be worse. You could have Pence in power. And think about it this way. In 4 years' time, you have an opportunity to change this. You have an opportunity to vote for a different party. And if you are undecided, if the same situation happens again, vote third party, because they will never stand a chance of bringing forth their opinions to the table if you don't ever cast them a few votes. They're the way for you guys to change. If you feel like there's a revolution needed in your country, if you feel like something different needs to happen, instead of voting for the candidate that seems the least like a politician, try voting for a party that hasn't had the opportunity to run your country, because you know what, they might be pretty good. Don't resort to the level of hurting each other. You're all human beings at the end of the day. And you've just got to learn to try and work with each other on this, because this is the hand that you've been dealt.
Cheese on toast, toast on cheese on cheese on toast, cheese on toast, toast on cheese on toast. These chords are recycled and this melody is stolen from the shop down the road, but we'd much rather steal from Tesco.